Let me tell you something you weren't supposed to say out loud. Sometimes blood forgets to care. Children grow tall and then grow distant. You can rock a cradle and still grow old alone, and it hurts. Not because we expected a parade, but because we thought the seeds we watered would remember our rain. But now that you're here over 60, it's time to stop waiting for someone else to remember you exist, because there is a life still burning inside you, and there are 6 pillars that never leave. Not even when your own reflection starts looking like your mother's or father's. If you watch this to the end, I promise, you will no longer wait on the porch of someone else's love. You will stand on your own mountain. There is a moment in every woman's life, and every man's too, when they wake up and realize they've been giving away pieces of themselves for far too long. They look back and see the years laid out like laundry on the line. Creased, worn, loved, stained. Some of those years were sacrificed in the name of love, others in silence, and too many out of fear of being alone. And in that reflection, something rises. A question, trembling but powerful. When did I forget that I matter too? Self-respect doesn't come wrapped in a diploma or in the praises of your children or even the hands of a devoted spouse. It is not a gift that life hands you. It is a flame you build yourself, brick by brick, breath by breath. It is born when you stop looking to others to tell you who you are, when the applause dies down, when the phone no longer rings, when the front porch stays quiet for too long. That's when self-respect knocks. And oh, what a knock it is. It doesn't scream, it doesn't beg. It just waits, with eyes ancient and knowing, whispering, I've been here all along. You just forgot how to listen to me. You remember all those years you put yourself last? The time you gave up your dreams because someone else's were louder? The nights you stayed awake, worried sick for people who now don't even call to check if you ate? That was love, yes, but also fear. Fear that if you said no, you would be left. Fear that if you chose yourself, someone would call you selfish. But let me tell you, there is nothing selfish about loving yourself the way you once loved everyone else. You are not a museum of everyone else's needs. You are not the silent wall people lean on without ever asking how you're holding up. You are not the endless well that others draw from but never refill. You are a woman. You are a man. You are a soul who has crossed decades, who has seen death and birth, love and heartbreak, gain and loss. You've been someone's mother, someone's friend, someone's partner. Now it is time to be someone to yourself. You see, they don't tell you this when you're young, but there comes a sacred age when you must reclaim your name. You must stop letting people call you mama or grandma or pops or honey, like that's the sum of who you are. You were someone before they came, and you will still be someone when they no longer come around. Self-respect is not loud, it's not arrogant, it's quiet power. It's walking into a room and not shrinking just because you're no longer 25. It's looking in the mirror and blessing your wrinkles because they are the map of all you've lived through. It's wearing your story like fine silk, not begging to be liked, but standing in your truth whether others see it or not. It is choosing to walk away from conversations that drain you. It is refusing to be disrespected just because someone once changed your diapers or shared your last name. It is saying, no, I will not explain myself again. Not out of bitterness, but out of clarity, out of deep-rooted, unshakable knowing. There will be people who call you cold for this. Let them sit with the echo of their own absence. You are not here to carry the guilt that isn't yours. You are not here to dance for approval. You've done your part. You have loved, you have forgiven, you have tried. Now finally, it is time to turn inward and give to yourself what you so freely gave to others. Wake up in the morning and bless your own name. Make your tea like you matter. Eat what nourishes you. Rest without guilt. Speak only when your words honor you. Say no when something costs your peace. Walk like your back remembers you were never meant to bow so often. You are not aging into invisibility. You are aging into clarity. Self-respect is knowing that your life, your breath, your presence, they are miracles. And you don't need anyone else to confirm what you already know. You are enough. You are sacred. You are still becoming, not less, never less. There comes a time when the body begins to whisper what it once used to shout. The knees don't rise the way they used to. The eyes blur. The back aches. But let me say this plainly. Aging is not the death sentence the world makes it out to be. It is simply a new country to live in. And like any land, it has its own language, its own rhythm, its own grace. Health, real health, is not about counting pills and surviving until next year. It is about how you show up today. It is about breathing deeply, walking lightly, and moving with presence. It is about thriving, not in the way young folks do with noise and speed, but in the way the trees thrive, rooted, steady, alive in every fiber. Too many people over 60 are told to sit down, to rest, to slow all the way down as if the only thing left to do is wait. But I say, walk, stretch, dance if your knees let you, wiggle your toes in the sunlight, sweat a little, cry if you need to, laugh until it hurts. Let your body feel that it is still a living, breathing miracle. You see, health is not just a doctor's note or a test result. It's not only about blood pressure or cholesterol levels, though yes, we watch those too. It's in your morning breath when you rise and greet yourself. It's in the strength of your spine as you carry your history. It's in your willingness to move, even if that movement is slower, even if it's painful, because movement is the body's song. Eat like you are worth feeding, not just to stay alive, but to stay well. Let food become your prayer, your medicine, your thanks to this vessel that has carried you through heartbreak, childbirth, storms, and silence. Feed it not with guilt or punishment, but with care. Your body doesn't need to look young to be strong. It doesn't need to be thin to be worthy. It just needs you to listen, rest, not because you're old, but because you deserve restoration. This world will have you believe that productivity is the only thing that gives you value, that you must always be doing. But healing happens in stillness. Growth happens in quiet. Sit down sometimes, not out of defeat, but out of reverence. Drink water like it's holy. Breathe like you have time. Stretch until your spirit loosens in your skin. Let go of the idea that age must come with suffering. Some pain is natural, but suffering, that's the story we're sold. You can write a new one. Call the doctor when you need to, not because something is broken, but because you are an active participant in your well-being. Walk through that clinic with your head high, not ashamed of your prescriptions, not embarrassed by the hearing aids or the walking cane. Those are not signs of failure. They are tools of wisdom. They say, I am still here and I take care of me. Let laughter be part of your health. Let joy touch your skin. Laugh loud and long because joy is medicine too. Stress has taken too many of us. It has crept into our bones, into our hearts. Shake it off, not all at once, but one breath at a time. Forgive where you can. Release what is too heavy. Stress robs the soul before it touches the body. Don't let it stay. Build a life that is rich in peace. Surround yourself with people who energize, not deplete. Declutter the rooms that suffocate you. Plant something and watch it grow. Sleep with the window open. Let nature back in. The body, after all, is not just a machine. It is a garden. It blooms when nurtured. Health after 60 is not about fighting time. It's about flowing with it, about partnering with your body instead of punishing it. It's about shifting from urgency to gratitude. It's about honoring the scars, the stretch marks, the softness, and the stillness. These are not flaws. They are the records of a life fully lived. When you choose to care for yourself, not because someone told you to, but because you finally believe you're worth the effort, That's when you begin to thrive. That's when health becomes holy. That's when your body, however aged or aching, becomes a temple again, because you were never meant to just survive. Not at 20, not at 60, not at 80. You were meant to glow from the inside out. You were meant to carry light in your bones. You were meant to thrive still, always still. Money. We're taught not to speak of it in polite company. We're told it's rude to ask, bold to demand, and shameful to need. But life has a way of peeling back politeness when the bills arrive and the refrigerator hums empty. After 60, money doesn't become less important. It becomes more urgent, more personal, more real. You've worked for years, maybe decades. You've raised families, you've paid rent, you've sacrificed for others. And now, in this new chapter, you deserve to live not in fear of the mailman, not in dread of the 15th or the 1st, but in peace. And peace, my dear, has a price tag. Not a luxury, not a fantasy, a basic need. Peace comes easier when the lights stay on and the prescriptions are filled. Financial awareness isn't greed. It's not about hoarding or chasing riches. It's about knowing what you have, what you need, and what you're worth. It's about refusing to be kept in the dark, because no matter how kind your heart is, kindness won't keep you warm at night. It won't repair a broken water pipe. It won't pay for a caregiver when your knees say, enough. The truth is, many people find themselves in their 60s and beyond, realizing they were never taught how to keep money, only how to work for it. And there's a difference. Making money is a hustle. Keeping it is an art, and you can learn it at any age. You don't need a finance degree, you need courage. Courage to look at the numbers, to open the bank statement, to face the truth of your financial landscape. Whether it's a dry desert or a blooming garden, you cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. And you don't need to know everything, you just need to know enough. Enough to protect yourself from being taken advantage of, enough to say no when someone expects you to bankroll their bad decisions, enough to make a budget that doesn't shame you but gives you breathing room, enough to invest even a little in your own future because your life isn't over and your dreams didn't die just because you turned 60. You are still allowed to want things. You are still allowed to plan, to save, to hope for a better tomorrow. Maybe it's a trip you always dreamed of. Maybe it's a new chair that doesn't hurt your back. Maybe it's just knowing you can buy your own groceries without waiting for someone else's help. Whatever it is, own it. Desire without shame is holy. Financial awareness is also about boundaries, about knowing that just because you love someone doesn't mean you owe them your retirement. You have already done enough. You have already given enough. Now is the time to protect your future. You are not being selfish, you are being wise. And if you have made financial mistakes, welcome to the human family. Who hasn't? What matters now is what you do next. Shame is not a financial plan. Start where you are. Speak to someone who knows more than you do. Ask questions. Read, watch, learn. You are not too old to take control of your money. You are not too late to gain confidence. Sometimes financial awareness looks like saying, no, I can't lend that right now. Sometimes it looks like canceling that subscription you never use. Sometimes it's cooking at home instead of eating out. Small changes over time are not small. They are lifelines. And sometimes it looks like preparing for the hard stuff: wills, insurance, power of attorney, funeral plans, not because you're giving up, but because you're taking responsibility. That is not morbid. That is love. That is maturity. That is grace. Let no one tell you that it's unspiritual to think about money. What is unspiritual is ignoring your needs until you become a burden. What is holy is standing in your truth, owning your choices, and building a life, even now, that reflects your worth. You have lived too long and given too much to feel helpless about money. You don't need to be rich to be free. You just need to be informed, aware, mindful, grounded. You need to know where your money goes, how it's working for you, and what it means to feel secure. Financial freedom isn't about having it all. It's about finally having enough and knowing that you deserve it. It's about sleeping well at night, not because you have millions, but because you've made wise choices, set strong boundaries, and put yourself on the list of people you take care of. And that is power, that is dignity, that is wealth. There is a quiet ache that comes with age, not from the bones or the joints, but from somewhere deeper, from the spirit. It whispers questions into your chest in the middle of the night. What now? Who am I now that the children are grown? Now that the job is gone, the house is quiet, the titles no longer cling to my name. It's a haunting silence, that space after obligation, that sudden opening in your life where duty once lived. You wake up and for a moment you're not sure why. There's no alarm clock, no babies crying, no meetings to prepare for. The world no longer needs you the way it once did. But oh, how wrong that is. Because need does not disappear with age. It transforms, and you are still needed. Maybe not as someone's provider or caretaker, but as a soul with something to give. Purpose does not retire. It does not gray at the edges or slip into irrelevance. Purpose deepens. It becomes richer, quieter, but more powerful. You were not born just to survive, not just to cook, to clean, to pay bills, to raise others, and then disappear into the background of your own life. You were born to leave an imprint. And just because the world stopped expecting things from you doesn't mean you've stopped having something to offer. Purpose is not a paycheck. It's not a job title or a role someone else gives you. Purpose is what wakes you up inside. It's what reminds you that your life still matters, that your words still count, that your hands, though older, still hold the power to heal, to create, to comfort, to build. You may not know exactly what it is right now. That's okay. Purpose doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it comes quietly, in a seed you plant, in a story you tell, in a neighbor you check on. Sometimes it begins again in your 70s, in your 80s. It is never too late to become what you still are. You can write the book, you can paint the picture, you can go back to school, teach a child to read, learn the piano, volunteer your wisdom, or simply sit with someone who needs to feel seen. You can start the garden, the podcast, the community circle. You can do whatever calls your spirit and says, yes, this is why I'm still here, because you are still here. That alone is evidence that your work is not done. Your lungs fill with air each morning for a reason. You have a voice for a reason. You have scars not just from pain, but from experience, from life that has been lived and learned from. There is someone out there who needs your story, someone who needs your example, your resilience, your quiet strength. Don't let anyone convince you that purpose belongs to the young. They may have energy, but you have wisdom. You have lived through things they haven't even imagined yet. You've buried people and still stood. You've been betrayed and still loved. You've started over more than once. That kind of knowledge can light someone else's way. And you need that light too. Because when you find your purpose, life tastes different. The food is richer. The days feel fuller. You stop counting the years you have left and start filling the ones in front of you. You walk straighter. You breathe easier. You sleep better, knowing that even now, your life is aligned with something meaningful. You don't need the world's applause to have purpose. You don't need your name on a plaque. You just need to listen to the whisper that's been waiting for you to get quiet enough to hear it. You still have something to give. Sometimes that something is joy. Sometimes it's truth. Sometimes it's your presence, steady and calm in a world that rushes too fast. Sometimes it's the courage to change even now and show others it's never too late to begin again. You are not at the end. You are at a threshold, a place where everything you've been can become something new, something true, something that feeds your soul and spills over into the lives of others. Purpose is not always big or loud. It is often humble, simple, but it burns like a steady flame that refuses to go out. Find it, protect it, feed it, and when you do, when you let it carry you forward, you'll stop wondering if your life still matters, because you'll feel it in your bones. You'll know. There comes a time in your life when you no longer owe explanations for your peace, when you no longer smile to be polite, no longer sit quietly in the corners of conversations that bruise your spirit. There comes a time, and it often arrives after 60, when you learn the sacred, necessary art of saying no. You see, boundaries are not about walls. They are not about shutting the world out. Boundaries are the fences we place around our garden to protect what we have worked so hard to grow. They are the lines we draw not from anger, but from self-respect, from knowing that our time, our heart, our home, they are not for rent to just anybody. For too long, you may have been the yes person, the one they call when they need a favor, the one who watches the grandkids, lends the money, forgives the harsh words without an apology. Maybe you were taught that love means sacrifice, and it does, but it does not mean self-erasure. There is no prize in being a doormat, no trophy for exhaustion. You have poured yourself out for years, decades even, into children, spouses, siblings, church, community. And though some of that was holy, some of it left you dry, bone dry, empty, in places no one can see. And now your spirit says, enough. Not because you're bitter, but because you're wise. Wisdom, real wisdom, is knowing where you end and someone else begins. It's understanding that you are not responsible for fixing what others refuse to heal. It's learning that every emergency is not your assignment, that every invitation does not require your presence, that every question does not deserve an answer. There will be people who don't like your boundaries. Let them not like them. They were never meant to be the architects of your peace. The moment you stop over-explaining is the moment you reclaim your energy. Not everything needs discussion. Not every why needs your breath. Sometimes you say, I'm not available. Sometimes you say, I'm not comfortable with that. Sometimes you say nothing and let your silence speak louder than your past submission ever could. It is not cruel to protect yourself. It is not rude to rest. It is not unkind to let people manage their own consequences. You are not the solution to everyone's storm. You were never meant to be. And every time you sacrifice your needs to please someone else, you teach them that your comfort is optional. But no more, not now, not after all you've lived through. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to leave the room when the conversation turns ugly. You are allowed to hang up the phone when disrespect enters. You are allowed to walk away from people you love if they refuse to love you in return. Boundaries are not about shutting the door forever. Sometimes they're simply a pause, a reset, a request. Meet me where I deserve to be met, or not at all. Sometimes they're not about cutting someone off, but about cutting off their access to your peace until they learn how to treat you better. And let us speak the truth. This boundary work is hard, especially if you've spent your life being the strong one, the forgiving one, the one who makes excuses for others' bad behavior. But healing requires new patterns. You don't need to be who you were just because it kept the peace. Peace bought with your silence is not peace. It's quiet suffering. You are not here to please everyone. You are not here to be available 24 hours a day. You are not here to be the family's emotional sponge, soaking up everyone's pain while no one wrings yours out. You are here to live fully, freely, and without apology. Start small. Say no to the gathering that drains you. Say yes to the nap you need. Decline the conversation that spirals into blame. Choose the company of those who leave you feeling seen, not used. Boundaries are not only about what you keep out, They are about what you allow in. And in this chapter of your life, let in only what feeds your joy, your wellness, your soul. Let in light, not chaos. Let in love, not obligation. Let in laughter, not guilt. Let in people who honor your boundaries as a reflection of how much you've come to honor yourself. You have earned this season. You have earned rest. You have earned quiet mornings and soft evenings. You have earned the right to choose yourself every single time. You are not being selfish. You are being free. There is a kind of loneliness that doesn't speak loudly. It doesn't cry or scream. It just sits beside you in a quiet room like an old friend you never invited. It visits often after 60, when the phone doesn't ring as much, when the visits slow down, when people you once loved begin to slip away into their own lives or into the silence of the beyond. And if you're not careful, you'll begin to believe the lie that you are alone, that you have no one, that love in its softest and safest form has passed you by. But I tell you, soulful companionship is still yours to find, and it may not come in the shape of your bloodline. It may not look like what you once imagined, but it can still be true, and it can still save you. You don't need a house full of relatives to be held. Sometimes the deepest connections come from people who found you later in life. A neighbor who checks on you after the storm, a friend who sees past the wrinkles and into your light, a caregiver who treats you like more than a task, a stranger who becomes a sister, not by DNA, but by choice. Love, real love, does not require permission from a family tree. It shows up in kindness, in listening ears, in shared laughter that makes your belly shake, in quiet understanding that doesn't need to be explained. Sometimes the ones who carry your soul through the hard places are not the ones who share your name, but the ones who share your truth. We are not meant to grow old in isolation. We are not meant to carry our wisdom alone. Companionship is not a luxury. It is a form of healing. It reminds you that you are still worth knowing, still worth seeing, still worth loving exactly as you are. And you don't have to wait for others to come knocking. You can open the door first. You can reach out. You can extend your hand, your voice, your story. There is someone out there praying for a friend like you, someone who needs your perspective, your humor, your grace. You are not too old to begin again. You are not too tired to love anew. Soulful companionship asks for presence, not perfection. It's not about constant calls or dramatic declarations. It's about someone who remembers your favorite song, someone who notices when your eyes look heavy, someone who lets you be silent without making it awkward. It's not about blood, it's about bond. And when you find it, even if it's just one person, cherish it, nurture it. Be that safe place for them too. Let your relationships grow in depth, not just duration. Talk about your real fears. Share the stories you never thought anyone would understand. Sit together in the truth of your aging and laugh anyway. You deserve that. You deserve to be surrounded by people who see your soul before your age. People who don't reduce you to your past roles, wife, mother, worker, but who celebrate the living, breathing human being you still are. You may need to forgive some wounds to let this love in. You may need to release the hope that certain people, family even, will show up the way you dreamed they would. That is hard, but let them go in peace and make space for what can be. Make space for who can love you right. And remember, soulful companionship doesn't always come dressed in grand gestures. Sometimes it's a warm cup of tea shared at the table, a walk in the park with someone who matches your pace, a handwritten note, a knowing look, a moment of shared silence that says, I see you, I'm here. You do not have to live in the ache of being unseen. You can step out into the light of connection, even now, especially now, because age strips away the noise, and what remains is what's real. Find the people who feel like sunlight on your skin. Keep them close. Be that sunlight in return. You are still lovable, still radiant, still full of stories, still capable of connection that heals more than time ever could. You are not alone, not really, and the love you thought you missed, it might be just around the corner, waiting in the heart of someone who is also looking for something real. Now that you know the truth, that family may not show up, but you still must. Take your tears and turn them into bricks. Build your life again. Your age is not your ending. It is your unveiling. You are not waiting to be seen anymore. You are standing sovereign, rooted in these 6 pillars, no longer needing a hand to hold, because you've become the mountain itself.